I rank every crypto tax software. I'm a crypto tax accountant, so I definitely know my stuff when it comes to this area. Let's start with Koinly, one of the most popular crypto tax softwares on the market. Let's start with pricing, and to keep it fair, I'm going to use an example of someone with 750 transactions that have maybe transacted across a couple blockchains, maybe done a little bit of crypto staking. So for Koinly, that would fit here at the $139 bracket. Now keep in mind, this is in Australian dollars, but it is a very competitive price. Koinly's pricing is pretty good, and you'll see that as we go through some of the other softwares. It is one of the better options out there. Now let's look at integrations for Koinly. And it says here that they have close to 700 different integrations across exchanges, wallets, and blockchains, with over 170 different blockchains. I think Koinly actually has the widest range of integrations across any of the softwares. It is probably one of their number one selling points is how many things they integrate with. I think that's why they've become so popular. Now, one thing to keep in mind is depending on what you've transacted with, which exchanges you use, which wallets you use, which blockchains you've transacted on, that's going to definitely guide your choice when you're picking your crypto software. So as you can see here with Koinly, they've got the list of all the different integrations they have. Go through, search up some of the ones you've got and see if they integrate with that software. Now let's look at the features and ease of use. Now, I think Koinly is really good to use. It is quite simple. The transaction screen here is very easy to read. My concern is you can only have a maximum of 25 transactions on a screen, which is so frustrating. I want to have 200, 300, 400 transactions on a screen so I don't have to keep clicking next, next, next. Please, if you work at Koinly, fix this. Some of the great things that Koinly does is it covers kind of all the key features you want. They do all their reconciliations, they run the tax reports. They're really good at displaying balances across your coins and across your exchanges, which I find one of their key selling points. They can be a little bit poor on guiding you on how to fix errors. While they do highlight this on the tax reports page, saying that, you might have an issue, I do find it harder to fix it. And you'll see in one of the upcoming softwares how much better they handle this. But it's probably around the industry standard, to be honest. It's definitely a weak point across all softwares. Koinly has really struggled to innovate, I feel like, over the past 12 to 18 months. While other softwares have come onto the market or even improved, Koinly's just kind of stayed stagnant. They haven't been willing to really change their product. I think it's because they've been so successful that they're kind of caught in their own success, that they're just like, why do we need to change? Why do we need to add new features? And they've just stayed the same. Their accountant integration is really good. It's very easy to go to the invite team function, invite your accountant in, and they can then log in and see that. As an accountant, I have a list of all my clients and I can see their files, which is really handy to have. With all that in mind, I'm going to put Koinly in the A tier. It is a great software. It is very popular. My main concern is their lack of innovation and the fact that their transaction page only shows 25 transactions at a time. Now, if you would like to join Koinly, there is a code here you'll see on screen. It's also in the description, and you'll get 25% off if you join through that. Software number 2 is Crypto Tax Calculator. And if you've ever heard me speak on this channel about crypto software, you know I love Crypto Tax Calculator. Let's look at pricing first, and it's $129 per year for our example client. The great thing is though, this covers you for 12 months of access. So you can do one tax report, or you can do 5 years of tax reports. This is a really key feature when it comes to pricing that Crypto Tax Calculator do that I don't think any of the other softwares I'm going to talk about actually do. Crypto Tax Calculator really is pretty good with integrations as well. They have over 600 integrations. They cover all the major blockchains, all the major wallets and exchanges. I do find Koinly has a little bit more than Crypto Tax Calculator, but for most of my clients, this ticks the box. Unless you're using some kind of like obscure blockchain or exchange, Crypto Tax Calculator will likely have what you'll be using. Crypto Tax Calculator is my personal favorite when it comes to ease of use. Their transaction screen has changed a few times. It's only recently changed, but it's still the most detailed, but at the same time, very easy to read, easy to understand. Their import system works well. Their features are pretty broad and they're expanding all the time. They've just recently added in a tax harvesting tool, which I'm going to talk in further detail on an upcoming video. But their features are very good. They're really focused on the reconciliation side of things, which I think is actually the number one thing that crypto software should be focusing on. They really want to make it really simple for people to go, hey, what is wrong with my data? Where do I fix it? How do I go about fixing it? And what's the order I should fix it in? So they've just moved this to the tips page recently, which will go through and go, hey, do you have missing cost base? Have you missed an import? Have you got a negative balance of a coin? And then it will allow you to dig further into those. It definitely is the number one software when it comes to reconciling your data. They're really big on wanting to show you what every transaction's impact is on your balances and your tax, which I think is really good. You can see it on the transaction page. You can dive in deep and see the change in balances or the tax impact of that transaction. One of their weak points is the way they display some balances. I do find it can be a little bit glitchy, and sometimes it can be a little bit confusing to get your head around what calculated balances and imported balances are. It is something that has been improving, but I do think it is an area that can be worked on more. The way that they invite tax professionals in is also a little bit messy, I find. I have to add them onto my system and then send an invite, and then we have to link and merge data. It's a little bit messy, and I have to send quite a detailed instructions. Once it's sorted though, it is a really good system. Overall, I love Crypto Tax Calculator, and it's probably no surprise to all of you. It's going in the S tier. It is top tier software when it comes to crypto tax. It's definitely not perfect. I don't think any crypto tax software is, but it's definitely in the elite category. Now, if you would like to join Crypto Tax Calculator, I do have an affiliate link. You can see it in the description or on screen here. Use the code BFF2020 for 20% off your subscription. Now, the third crypto tax software is CoinTracking, and this is actually the first crypto tax software I ever discovered, the first one I ever used, and I did talk about it on the channel way back in the day, in the early days of the channel. Let's first look at pricing, and for our example client, it'd be $233 a year. All the pricing is in USD on their website, so you have to do conversions. You can also pay in Bitcoin, which is a cool little functionality there. Now, it was hard for me to find a number on how many integrations they have. I did find something here saying over 110 exchanges. But when you compare that to something like Koinly that has over 400, you can see overall they're going to have a lot less integrations. And I'm finding they're not adding a lot of integrations. They kind of seem very stagnant on this. They do have some blockchains and wallets and stuff like that, but definitely nowhere near as much as a lot of the more modern softwares. Modern software, though, is not how I would describe CoinTracking. As you can see, it is a pretty archaic looking software. It has very advanced functionality when it comes to reporting. So once you can get your data into this software, it is very good. There's a lot of different reports you can run. It has a really good report showing realized gains and unrealized gains, and you can start to do some tax planning around that. Overall though, it just looks old, and the functionality to get transactions in is a bit slow. The manual entry is fine, but they just don't have the import functionality like the others do. I find it's really clunky, and again, the software is poor at identifying when there's errors. I'm finding that with a lot of the softwares is they just don't clearly identify where their errors are and how I need to go about fixing them. They might say, oh yeah, there's an error, but how do I fix that error? Overall, I'm going to put CoinTracking in the D tier. I think it is a great software if you need really detailed reporting, but for the everyday user, I don't think it's very user-friendly. I think it's pretty hard to learn, to be honest, and if you get something wrong, it's really hard to identify that. Now, the fourth software is CoinLedger, and I haven't used this one as much as some of the others on the list, but it does seem to be getting a little bit more popular over time. Now let's first look at pricing, and it comes in at $99 per year, which is great pricing. My only concern is I don't know if that's Australian dollars or US dollars, which is a bit frustrating on a website to not clearly identify what currency I'm paying in, even when I'm trying to change the location on the bottom of the website. But if it is 99 Australian dollars, then that is the most competitive pricing across all of the softwares that I'm going to talk about today. So pricing definitely gets a tick. Now, I couldn't find a number of integrations, but as you can see, as I scroll through here, there is a lot of integrations. They seem to cover all of the big ones. So again, I think it seems pretty good on integrations, but it's a bit disappointing they didn't have a display on their website showing how many they've got. The import functionality and the overall software is really clean. It's easy to do. My concern is that the transaction screen isn't very detailed. I think it could be much more detailed, and if they took a page out of Crypto Tax Calculator's book, but kept their clean, sleek design, I think that would be a really good improvement for the software. Now, I did trial and import a wallet, which I knew would have lots of errors, and it was only bringing up one error. So I was a bit concerned about why is it not bringing through more errors, or why is it not clearly identifying these errors with cost base, or where do these assets come from? So again, it's a concerning area, but as you're seeing, this is a common theme across a lot of these softwares. It did seem very easy to invite your tax professional in, which is a bonus. They don't really have a dashboard though, which means for portfolio management and seeing what you've got, this software is not for you. It really just seems like it does the tax side of things and that's it. With all of this in mind, I'm going to drop this one in the C tier. I think it has potential, but it's not quite there yet. It's not as detailed as something like Koinly or Crypto Tax Calculator, but it still looks like it has the potential to be a good software. Our fifth one today is CoinTracker. And don't get confused, this isn't CoinTracking, it's CoinTracker. All these softwares have such similar names, it is so frustrating. Let's look at pricing, and this one comes in at the most expensive at $279, which definitely means it's already behind the others because it's expensive. When it comes to integrations, they have 513 with over 30 blockchains, which in total integration puts them quite high. Not as many blockchains as something like Koinly though. On their website, they promote having all these partnerships with some big names, including Coinbase, OpenSea, TurboTax, H&R Block. I'm not really sure what that means, but they're obviously really wanting to get their name out there and have gone down the approach of partnering up with some big names in the crypto industry. It is a smooth looking software and the transaction screen is quite detailed, which I like, but overall the software just doesn't have the functionality you would expect it to have, especially considering the big names. I find it's really poor identifying errors again, and this is especially true as a tax professional. So they have the ability to invite a tax professional in, but when I've been invited in previously for clients, I couldn't even see the transaction screen. So I could see that there was errors, but I couldn't give them any feedback on how to help fix these errors, which I think is just really poor. And again, they've got in their minds of, oh, we just need to produce tax reports, but they don't seem to really worry too much about, are these tax reports accurate? So with all that in mind, I'm putting this in the D tier. I think it looks good, but it just doesn't have the functionality you'd expect from a software that has these major partnerships. And the sixth one is Sharesight. And you're probably wondering, well, isn't that a software that's made for share tracking? But they do offer crypto tracking in it. Now, let's look at pricing. It's a little bit confusing because it's all lumped in with the share stuff. And theirs goes on a number of holdings. So I've gone with the one under 20 holdings, which would come out to $228 a year. So it is a little bit pricey, especially if you're starting to expand into lots of different cryptos. But this is where your problem's going to be with Sharesight. It only integrates with 8 cryptos. So I don't really know why they even promote crypto as one of their offerings, because even the cryptos they integrate with are pretty archaic. And it just goes to show, it's like they slapped this on saying, oh yeah, we're going to do crypto portfolio management as well, and then just didn't really worry about it. You can add custom coins in there, but it's a lot of work. It's not built for crypto tracking. It's really only useful for someone that maybe holds some Bitcoin and some Ethereum. You're probably not going to use it if you're actually the everyday crypto investor that's using exchange and buying and selling a range of different things. With all that in mind, it's an F tier. It's just not suited to probably 99% of investors. It's great for those who've got very small holdings in particular crypto assets that want to integrate with the rest of their portfolio, maybe in shares and ETFs, but for the general person, it's no good. So here's our final tier chart. And as you can see, Crypto Tax Calculator comes out on top, but there are some other good options out there. I'd always say go and look into what you are doing in crypto. You know, what are your wallets and exchanges and blockchains you're using? What kind of things are you doing in the space to see whether the software is going to suit you? Use the free trials. Here's the pricing comparison. So you can see that CoinLedger does come out on top, but Crypto Tax Calculator is not far behind. And because of its ability to cover multiple years, I think it's really the winner when it comes to price. Do you agree with the rankings? Let me know down below in the comments. And if you're wanting to know more about Crypto Tax Calculator, I have this video that is coming up next that I went into Crypto Tax Calculator in much more detail. I thank you for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.